In a world where Caribbean men are told to shut up, man up, or act up, God does none of the above. He speaks the truth, he leads with purpose, and he's built a platform that reminds men your story matters, your healing matters, and your voice is power. From mental health to masculinity, from breaking toxic cycles to challenging nonsense that goes viral, God shows up for all men. Not just the ones chasing love or likes, but the ones chasing peace, growth, and freedom. The episode that we have today is raw, it's real, and everything the culture needs right now. Welcome to It's Given Podcast, and help me welcome Garth Voisin of the Dear Men's Project. This one is for the books.
How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. And I love that we get to film in Hilton today because you're staying in Hilton. I like to film wherever people feel most comfortable. Sometimes we film by me, we film by everybody else. But it is really nice. I mean, they'll have some shots of it you all will get to see. But it's a nice day. And I was telling you this last night. I believe it will be a real nice day. So don't worry. Once rain not falling, we will do it outside.
Yeah.
So, God, for those of us who might not know your work yet, right? Who is Garth Voisin and what inspired your Dear Men's project?
So first of all, thank you for giving the opportunity to share what we plan to do with the Diamond Project. Who I am, I'm just a man. If you really think about it, I think the purpose behind the man and the purpose behind the Diamond Project is to build a bridge between Caribbean men and themselves and those people who love them. So we're talking about family members, spouses, friends, kids, right? Mm-hmm. Caribbean men for me is the main focus, mainly because we've had different shifts in culture, but some things remain the same. So the project itself is aimed at the Caribbean man. And when I say Caribbean man, I mean not just because we're from Trinidad and Tobago, it will be just Trinidad and Tobago, but the Caribbean on a whole.
Right.
So that's who I am in a nutshell.
I love that. So what was the moment or experience that pushed you to speak directly to men in such a real and international way? Because you do your work internationally, and then you travel around Caribbean spaces and do your project. Yeah. Right. So what was the, what experience, what drive you to say, I need to start this? What was that calling? What
the catalyst for me, as with most things with people who jump on this purpose or mission, was for me. Going through a bunch of stuff on my own personal journey, I really felt isolated. I felt like I was not able to say how I really felt about certain things, and that did bother me. And then I was like, well, how many people are going through the same thing in different areas? And okay, well, we identified what the problem was. That was my problem. But then how do we find a solution? So I kind of took it upon myself to say, well, okay, well, how would I feel better in a space where I feel isolated? Or how would I feel more supported? Or how would I feel more loved or cared about? Or how could I be vulnerable and still not come across as weak per se?
Exactly.
So it was a personal thing for me. And it's still a personal thing for me too, because a lot of people who I surround myself with, they go through the same isolation and the same issues that we had. So it's personal, and it has been personal. It continues to be personal, especially for us as Caribbean men.
And I love that the fact that, it is personal. That means that it's something that you're passionate about. So to you, from what I see, even if you just touch 5 men's lives, that's not the concern. Is that, you know what, I have to show up for these 5 men then. Because if I have 5 followers that really just come in and they care about what I say, and they feed off of my journey also, that is important. And like, even with this podcast that I do, I was like, all right, hopefully, yes, we could get 1 million views one day. But the
you
thing
will.
Is, thanks. But the thing is that I just believe that as a Caribbean man, we need to actually put out more like what we really are into these social spaces that we occupy, which I will constantly keep rattling and saying, because when we get deeper into it, the things that we put out is kind of like not it, but it kind of like puts us as a massa, and we entertain the massa. Like, you're supposed to sing and dance, and that's your space here. You sing and dance. We're not taking you serious with anything else. So that actually leads me to the next question I have for you, which we go to the pressure to perform. You see, as Caribbean men, especially colored and black men, do you feel we constantly being asked to perform masculinity in a certain way? Like, do you feel that, that society expects us to be men in this box and how it's supposed to be, and that is how it is you are supposed to be because you are a colored man, you are a black man, this is how we want our men to be. And that's what I get from living just in the Caribbean. What are your takes on that?
Well, that has a million different answers. And I am one of those people who I think transparency is key to a lot of different things, from change to just getting things to happen. To talk about the question of being this entertainment mindset, I love the fact that you asked that question, because in the Caribbean, we do have this mindset of entertainment. We do have this mindset of performing, right? And either it's in a role of a man or not, it's still a Caribbean thing and it's a cultural thing. And I wrote a piece a long time ago that said the culture is killing us. People got upset. Not that bothered me, but they got upset because I literally were pointing out things that were happening and we were promoting them. Because then now with the entertainment, you have companies saying, let's promote the entertainer, but not let's promote the educator, which really kind of ruffles a couple of my feathers, because I'm like, yo, why are we constantly in this entertainment mode? And then when it comes to men and the way how men are portrayed, I understand why they put men in a box as a provider and protector. But if men and people in general are open to a growth mindset, we have to understand that everybody around us is changing except men. Men have remained the same toxic masculinity traits, the same culture that says, let's just entertain and dance and wine and that's it, and go out for drinks. I'm not saying anything wrong with it.
I went and I get real girl. I don't wine on this girl.
But you see, that's what they promote a lot. And then you have companies backing that as well. So if a company is backing it, you are backing it, friends are backing it, then there's nothing wrong with doing it. And then the one that opposes it becomes isolated. And that's what you find a lot too with movements that have to come around where we want to initiate change. So to answer that question, entertainment factor, 100%. People supporting that, 100%. And that is also one of the reasons why we do not have a positive change in masculinity in the Caribbean. Definitely. And that's one of the reasons why we continue to do what we do, because we're being promoted by bigger companies who say, hey, listen, let's get this guy who entertains instead of let's get somebody who can maybe do the both. Educate and entertain. We call it about edutainment.
But that's the thing, because what I always say, I say, the Caribbean have a lot of content creators, but we have very few, if any, which I would actually give you the grace to say you're an influencer, because you actually influence men. If anybody following your page and following your journey, you influence us to be better and give a fuck about ourselves, for lack of a better term. Like, so what if you're seeing about your skin? So what? You should be caring about your body. You should care how you look. Because you're a man, it's not the only thing for you to do is not only to go to work, and because you're paying all the bills, or use top man of the year. What about you though? Like, how you feeling?
Well, that is also coming from a point of where things now have a gender, in terms of not an agenda, but a gender. So taking care of skincare is a women-based,
which is total madness. I like to look nice.
I mean, I don't understand that concept either, because if you know the whole narrative about pouring from an empty cup, like if a man runs himself into the ground and then he just has nothing left, most likely they're gonna find another man. In general,
definitely.
So why not? So why not just? So why not just take care of yourself in a way where you can be your best self or show up as your best self? And I think that's what we're trying to promote. We're not trying to promote all the things that changes the idea of what you think a masculine man should be.
And that is the saddest part. Like, because the thing is, even out here now, you will have a man who decide, you know what, I am going to go and get my little pedicure. I'm going to make sure that my nails not looking disgusting. I don't want. I just find I want to take a little pride in myself. Now they will have women who will come and be like, well, he's an anti-man, or like, well, he's not for me, darling. That's for he do not for the boys. It's like, no, I just want like to smell good
for self.
Look good
for self.
Look in the mirror and don't look like, I some stressed out. Because trust me, the problem is still going on in the head. As much as you're seeing about your outside, we still have that. And like, don't say even last night I lied. Now all the things that I do in myself, it even comes into my dreams. It's like so much things happening just because you want for yourself, you want to achieve X, Y,
Well,
and
let's
Z.
make it controversial. Maybe the women who say those things, they want that for themselves. They want him to be stressed out and they want him to look a certain type of way. So maybe they look better.
Yeah.
Let's be controversial. Maybe that's what it
that
is.
is
Because
probably
if you
true.
really care about somebody, you would want them to be their best selves, correct? So if you say, hey, and it doesn't have to be just Father's Day or Men's Health Month, it could be any month.
Father's
But if you not want that person that you're with to look and smell and feel good about themselves,
I would believe
so controversial, maybe the idea
Tearing
is
him down makes
makes
you
them look
feel a little
better.
better
Yeah.
about yourself. Yeah.
you might get some messages about that.
Well, no, that's true. I mean, even in all relationships, and I find it happens a lot in, and I would say in our colored people's spaces. The way you feel better is to tear somebody else to make sure that he feels smaller. So if I make him feel a little small, then I have a superiority about. And if I can one up on you, then I bet, and then you walk away feeling how.
Yeah.
Because you make that man feel
So
less
ego.
than. So you're like haha. And this is between men and men and men and women, and not only romantic relationships, just any relationship, friendships and all. Like people are friends, but it's like you doing better than me.
Yeah.
I'll smile in your face, but behind their mind is like I could have smelled those friends out, which I all cut out. Like my core group, we celebrate and we sing each other praises. Like I will celebrate if my friend doing good, hear me. Yes, thank God. I don't have to work less.
Right, somebody up there. Yeah.
I go and do. I'm in it. I'm in it. Hello, I'm here. And people are doing that.
Well, we talk about that in terms of like instead of competition, should be more collaboration, right? So that's a good idea of that. But I think we have a lot of ego trips in the Caribbean as well as all around the world. But the Caribbean, you kind of see it a little bit more blatant.
Because we have to look like I think that we think, oh well, this is a small pond, so I need to look like the big fish.
Yeah.
Can't we have two big fish in this group here?
Yeah.
Which is total stupidness. Right? So what happens to a man who doesn't fit the loud, tough woman chasing? Because I remember we was having our conversation. I actually put this question in because like you, as you say, plenty of the content that will get all the view, and it's like, boy, I went and I fucked this girl the other day, and I went and I ting, and that is what they like, So what happens to the man who don't fit that loud, tough woman chasing mold that society expects us to portray always? Because if you not going to a party to try and wine and all the girl, or you're not like having an outside thing and all that, what kind of man are you? That's what I see. But what I see that they portray us to be.
Yeah.
Like this is how we supposed to be. You have to be running wrong. Once it's a woman, you have to be trying to make money and have that money and spend it on girl, and that's a man.
Yeah.
Right? So that's where it's like what. No, I know all of us are not like that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Actually, most of us are not like that.
Well,
The ones who get the ones who get the highlight, the ones who get highlighted in society, I think they are like that. But majority of people who I hang out with, I'm not of them are like that.
You have to think about it from the perspective of that's louder. So if it's louder, you'll hear that more, see that more, right? And again, we talked about the whole culture aspect of it. A lot of the culture does portray and promote most of that. Now, when you ask about it in terms of what happens to the guy who is not the loud and not, those are, and it might sound weird, but those are more the successful men, because those are the men who have some type of stability. And anybody who knows about business knows that you have to have some type of stability. Good example, most people who are in relationships, when you go to a business meeting, regardless of which part in the world, it's normally viewed better because there's something stable in your life. I'm not saying that is works. I'm not saying that he may be the man, but I'm saying that it normally portrays stability in life. This is a business aspect of it. Personally, you find that the men are normally taught just to build body, business, and status.
Yes.
So anything outside of that makes them not look like what the idea of masculinity should be. So this is why now when you try to add on layers of that, like vulnerability and transparency, and like you said, being in a relationship with one person or trying to really build that relationship with one individual, it doesn't come across as masculine, and mainly in the Caribbean as well. And I'm not bashing the Caribbean, just saying that's the culture that we know. So it does not come across as it would normally come across in terms of the loud, boisterous look or that's promoted. So that person now tends to be more in the backdrop, but then that person also tends to have more time to have a growth mindset.
Exactly.
So it could look like it's not working out, but I think if you really pay attention, most men who are like that, they have a lot more things put together than the loud. And I will be honest with you, I was there. I was part of the culture like that too, and I've always said that. Yeah, and I've always said that, and I think if you could understand and hold yourself accountable for the things that you've done and make the change, then you could make a change. But if you continue to live this narrative like this is what's supposed to be and this is what's expected of me, I don't think that you will get really far in terms of in a lot of different areas
and then
of
you
life.
end up alone, and when you realize you end up alone, it's like, oh, you end up alone. It's like, well, you kind of treat everybody around you like shit because you're trying to be the big honcho, and women are so much more educated about their value also and what they bring to the table rather than them thinking that they should just sort of be homemakers. So men actually now have to compete with women on the same level because the thing is, if you go to any workplace, women are the ones who are holding the higher power. Most of the high positions and stuff are now starting to be held by women, which never happened. Which even 15 years ago, that was not even the case.
Yeah.
But they have they took advantage of all the degrees. They are the ones that actually show up for work and do stuff. And it makes me think, are they getting ahead more because we expect less from them? And this is where it is, I like to say, yes, I really respect that women do this, that they are in our spaces and that we would have once all be a male club, but women doing it as a choice. My view is, which I have some women who hate that I say this, but it is true. I said, you choose to do this because you choose this is what you want to do. I said, we don't have a choice. I said, tomorrow you can wake up and say, I'm going to go after this guy. I'm going to get him. I'm not going to hold hunting anymore. And that is a valid reason. And that's a valid thing for them to do. They could go and have a kid for a very rich man and just sit down and be taken care of. And they will not be looked at as any less out of a woman.
Yeah.
They will literally be, oh, she's a great mom. She stays home and does and sees about her kid. Don't mind, she might have help doing that also. And she doesn't do anything else. She might, but she can choose that. And nothing, society would not view her as lesser a woman. Now, if a man decides, my woman is making a lot of money, I think I'm just going to be the guy who's going to stay home and take care of the kids. It's like, what kind of waste man you have?
Right.
Is worse. So women, I believe, choose the life of the corporate life or the life of hard work. But they also have the option to decide, I don't want to do that. And no respect will be lost on their name.
Yeah.
But us, I don't believe that.
Well, in that aspect, I think we do have a choice. And the reason why I say we do have a choice is because based on your environment, that doesn't look bad. And I will say this because I know a lot of people who live outside of the Caribbean and a lot of men who actually take care of the kids now.
Who's a caretaker?
And they are not looked at. And so, because guess what? Now the communities that they form there, where we had the women in communities, like you'll have all these stay-at-home moms. You have the stay-at-home dads. And it's based on your environment that you're in, how they perceive that. So again, if you look at it from a Caribbean standpoint, you're right. You most likely will get that. And sometimes it comes across like we don't have a choice, but I will agree to disagree because we do have a choice. It's based on your environment. And now that environment does not portray loud and out and about because then remember now your priorities have changed. And for women have been offered something that they were not offered before. And you are so correct. They've taken advantage of it. And I love to say this to people. When I first wrote my first book, my sister was the one that had me journaling my thoughts.
Okay.
That's what made me write. And I've always taken a page out of the woman. Okay, taking care of yourself, making sure I'm okay, making sure mentally I have a place to vent and to talk. Vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a strength actually because you're open enough to say this is how I feel.
Exactly.
And the fact that they take advantage of what's given to them now, they have a choice just as we have a choice to say, okay, cool, you know what? Why am I not taking advantage of the same things? Because we've always been there. And I feel as though now, because we're seeing the women stepping into these roles and doing these things, the men are now just staying silent instead of speaking about how they feel about stuff, which doesn't help their case. Because now you have the women are now doing what they need to do, and you now sitting back and complaining or grumbling or, just grinding. And you're not even saying how you feel about stuff, which means nobody understands. And then you want to say that, oh, well, men suffer in silence. No, that's a choice. That's a choice.
Yeah.
And everything around us is changing. So this is my thing with the project. If a thing around us is changing, men are either going to be extinct and no longer available,
Or needed.
well, extinct because there's no value,
Yeah.
right? Or they understand as well, just as women, their value, and they understand that it is not a matter of competition, but more or less community and collaboration. It has to be, because if you think about it, men need women and women need men, and this will be one of those things that people will say, "Oh, I don't need no man." You're right, maybe for some things particular, but the same thing for men. A man could say he doesn't need a woman. A man could say, "I don't need a woman," but there's a part of the context that we're not filling in. I may not need a woman to make me feel stable or to give me money, or a woman might not need a man to give her money. But at the end of the day, for us to survive as a species or as a people, we need each other.
We do.
Regardless of what they may say. But again, we're leaving out parts of the context, which is in specific areas, you most likely don't need another person.
And that's according to where you're at in your life.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, where you're at in your life. I mean, yes, definitely. And what I was actually telling a group that I managed, they was like, "Why are you not married or in a relationship?" I said, "I did try twice, didn't work out, and then relationships, I've been with everybody after that." And then I said, "You know what? Everything has been failing because where I am in my life, I can see about me." Right, and I don't even read as we were talking before we start filming, my cup not full, and it's so hard to pour from a quarter full cup. And I was telling the girls I was speaking to, back in the day, your dad and mom would have normal jobs, or mommy mightn't even have a job, and your dad could have buy a house, could have put you to school, put your brother and them in school, and he probably had a normal salary. So today, you probably working for more than your dad right now, and we cannot see a house. And I am in real estate. You cannot even buy a house with a good salary. Some people may take it home over $13,000, would not even qualify for a proper house. Cannot send their child to private school and do all this stuff that my parents could have done on their much lower salaries back then. I said, so the growing up stages has now gone past, or a man was an adult by 25. So there's no 25-year-old, very, very few, unless they came with a golden spoon that their fathers and mothers probably worked for, which is good for them. And I never like to downplay a guy who came from a rich upbringing because his family didn't just get rich, you know. They worked. Somebody put together, somebody had a plan or a really good insurance policy from granny, and they got through it with wealth, which is good for them. But generally, most of us are not going to have that peace of mind that I believe that you need in order to be the provider and in order to give a family what they need. The most I could do right now, and I could be very honest, is see about myself and do my part with my daughter, who I co-parent. Right? And thank God her mom is more of focus on her and focus on and how she does her career. She doing her career in steps. Like she did pull back on her career so that she could focus on my daughter. Which thank God. Because I don't know if it is. I know that for a fact I could not live in a house and try to be a dad and make my life work. And a husband, a dad, a husband, and start to fix myself.
But even that, I don't think. But even
me.
that, I don't think that. And I say this openly in conversation. I don't think that that's for everybody. I don't think that we look at different things and we say, this is for everybody, or this is how it's supposed to be. And I think now you live in a society and a world that nothing is how it's supposed to be because a lot of different things have changed. So I've never really said this openly in the conversation, but I'll say it here. I grew up in a different type of family where my mother and my father, their dynamic was a little bit different. And I think that's what maybe helped me to understand or to see it through a different light, because my father was never not the father. He was never not the man because of my mom's job or his job. And they dealt with it in a way where they were a partnership. And I think that's why when I come out and I talk about different things, some people may agree or disagree. And it is from my perspective. However, if you have an example of something that may have worked, and again, nothing is 100% perfect.
Nothing.
But if you could see that dynamic exists, which means that it could be implemented. And I think that's where a lot of people are coming from the dynamic of the old school narrative. And it comes just like talking about to men. The old school narrative is what they're still holding on to in a modern day society. And that's what making them stuck and isolated and suffering in silence. So that's what the main thing is. But like you just said, you would not have been able to maybe be as successful as you are now if you were to take that role. And maybe men are not supposed to always just have that specific role. Maybe it's supposed to be a bit different. And maybe that's just because based on how that life was at that point in time, it was there. Because what you're saying is not selfish or it's actually you taking care of yourself so that your daughter may have a better life. And think about if you were in the position, would she be able to benefit from what you're doing right now? Most likely not. And that's what I'm saying. Like, so we have this thing of it's supposed to be this way for the men, but it's not supposed to be this way for the women. Yeah, that's the contradiction. Because if the woman could change and they have now the rights to do different things, the men are supposed to be aware enough. Maybe I could do things a little bit different, and maybe it could still work out.
And to go back to the content creators and influencers we have, why you think so many male creators feel the need to be like comedians or entertainers just to get noticed? Like, I realize that to get the brand deals or to get anything, like the guy must dress up like a woman in some sport or the other. They must be a clown. Which, trust me, I laugh my ass off at some of them. Like, I mean, big up Certified Samson, big up Kyle Boston. I mean, I really do enjoy the skits.
Right.
But the thing is, I will more respect Junior Lee doing it because Junior Lee is a comedian and he does comedy. Right. He is going out there and he is promoting his brand, which is comedy. Whereas I look at other content creators and I think you're doing it for the likes and to get a brand deal. They want to get a brand deal, right? So, but they do a lot of work. I mean, the fact that they put out content every day, I have respect for the fact that it's a discipline to do that.
Right.
But are we now selling ourselves short?
You really want to do this conversation? Yeah, you sure? Yeah. This is what the podcast is about, right? Let's be transparent. Okay, let me answer that. Big companies are promoting this type of life. Big companies are promoting the entertainer, the comedian. Everybody can be a comedian. I can be a comedian. You can be a comedian. Anybody can be a comedian. Now, there's some good ones. I wouldn't call any names because I don't want them to message me. However, what I would say is that if the companies were not promoting them and saying that this is acceptable and this is what we want, then you would not find them flourishing as much. Comedians are comedians. Everybody has a place in society that they exist. I appreciate that. I am just like you. I laugh my ass off. I laugh on the plane. I laugh when I'm in traffic because in my ears, right? But the lifestyle that we live in and this idea about likes and acceptance, it's not just a Caribbean thing. It's a human thing. And the companies are playing on that, so they will give these people the brand deals, thinking that would attract more people to their company. Now, if you look at the influencer stuff, it has gone away a lot. If you do business and you look at how influencers' business decisions, it has not really been as much as it was in the beginning stage. They're no longer using as much influencers. But we have more comedians. Yeah. And we have more entertainers. Yeah. And the issue that I have with that is that let's make sure that we are promoting both. Because just as where a long time ago it would be where a trade was not really a big deal, a trade is a big deal. Yeah. Not everybody wants to be a doctor or a lawyer. There are different areas of this society that we need. Definitely. Right? So when it comes to influencing people, we don't always need a comedian. We need somebody who could actually stand from a standpoint, or a person like you who creates something that could influence people based on interviews or based on knowledge. We need that as well. So when it comes to the idea of having an influencer always be a comedian for the Caribbean, I'll give you a good story. I would do ads years ago. And I went to this ad to do an ad for a company, and they brought in this guy from, I think he was from the UK or something, but he was part of their production team. And he asked me, because we were having a discussion, he said, why is it that all our commercials look so always laugh and giggle and smile and jump up and wave, and why is it like that? And I said to him, I have an idea why it's like that. I said, but what do you think? Yeah. and again, this is why we're on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
He said to me, he said, because when we hire people to do commercials in the Caribbean, we do not hire professional actors.
Right.
We hire friends and family
People we know.
and entertainers.
Yeah.
So we're not looking at the guy who went to school for theater because we don't have that big pocket. And we do have a pocket, but it's not a big
I
pocket.
think we do have a pocket.
But we don't have a big pocket, so which means you have a less pool to choose from. So when he said that to me, I agreed with him. And from since then, this is years ago, you still see the same thing happen because I think we've been programmed to think that's what it is. That's all that it is. So when you come from here and you look at an ad, what you could do from now on, if your listeners want to, look at the next 5 to 6 ads that you see on the television and tell me if it doesn't follow the same pattern of smile, laugh, be loud, be jovial.
Mm-hmm.
That's our content.
Yeah.
So how do we get away from that? Who knows? Maybe the same companies are promoting that. Maybe they can find other things to do because there are different ways to market or advertise. But we have stuck to that narrative for such a long time.
Yeah.
And if you're doing business, you realize that that does not bring closing deals to business anymore. It used to. It used to because that's what we were aware of that. But yeah, so that's what it is right now. So
to me, you can't. As much as I laugh, none of them would influence me to do anything.
right, but remember, the companies are making that decision for you.
Yeah.
Because those are the people that they would back. And they would back them thinking, because that's what they know.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and some of them are smart. They're smart people. And like I said, I might get a couple of DMs because of it.
I
But
believe
that's all it is.
majority of them are smart. I mean, but where I would have a bigger appreciation for, and I would call in because they don't know me, Junior Lee and like and Rudy and them, they are comedians.
Yeah.
And I mean, Junior did a interview with Nikki Crosby.
I saw that.
And it gave me so much of a more respect for him because in it he said, I started to do content because nobody was coming to my shows.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, a reason, a purpose.
A pivot.
Yeah, a pivot. It was not because I want brandies or likes or anything. It's because I want people to come to my show and fill the seats.
Yeah.
I want to be able to go and travel. And I was like, this is why you get my respect. When Rudy is now doing his one-man show and he's doing all the different characters, he wants people to come in his seats.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ever met him in real, which I would have had some interactions with him, very serious man, you know.
Yeah.
You know, as funny as he is, he's very, very serious.
But it works.
About his
It works.
business.
Yeah.
Right?
But it works. And that same interview you talk about, that is where you get the meat of it in terms of why. Like I see their shows. I still like to go to shows. If I go to LA, I want to go to listen to a comedian.
I would love to go to a show.
So we still go to those things because that's also part of our makeup in society.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue that you find in the Caribbean is that if we have the majority of that, then how are we going to take seriously something that's a serious issue? And this is where we're trying to build that bridge between.
Tell me right
that.
now who in your head will pop up if it is like all right, let's talk about a serious issue. Right? To me, I would think that you will probably promote that, but you're not gonna self-promote yourself here.
No.
Think in your head, who does your mind go to? If it is like, you know, who is somebody I really respecting when you know and the work that they're doing. I can't name it.
I'll call out somebody in a field. The Fathers Association, Rondell Fields.
Mm-hmm.
I would call him out, and I'll call him out as somebody who has been an advocate for single fathers because he had a single fathers association. I would call him out because he's been consistent, but he's the only person I can think about in this space.
Yeah.
And that is a lot of uphill battles from their side of it as well, because him and I have had conversation. Mm-hmm. And you know, and that's why sometimes when he says something on the television, they may go at him, but that is the only person I can think about it. However, if you look at the other side of the scale, that scale is a little bit heavier, where you have a lot more entertainers versus that. So, like you said, that would be the only name I could call out loud.
And you call that name because I mean you do have much more deeper conversation. I believe that sitting at a table with you, I tell you, we still have to do it dinner time sometimes because I believe that your conversations is like would be something that I will more match to. I mean, when I was younger, I had a cousin who just refused to hang out with me and my friends. She's like, so all you always talk about is like sex and who are you hooking up with? Yeah. And to him, he's like, that's crazy. Well, he wasn't from here only. So, you know, he's like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
There's just so much other things going on. It's like, you know, and that was a very impactful time of my life where I was like, all right, maybe I should have more depth.
And don't get me wrong. You need to have light parts of your
Of
life.
course.
So most of my conversation, everybody knows me. I could be a comedian at times.
Yeah,
sometimes
happens with some girls.
they don't even know how funny I am. But I'm not gonna do it.
God is funny.
No, I'm just saying they don't know how funny I am. However, you have to be able to find the harmony in life, and I don't believe in balance. I believe that one thing will always outweigh the other. I think the harmony in life is where everything interacts with each other, so that you have to have light moments.
Yes.
I like traveling. That's my light moment. I like to joke around sometimes. For the people who are
Everybody
close.
knows, people die laughing at this stuff, I would say.
But that's what I'm saying. So you have to have that. So we're not saying don't have the entertainers. What we're saying is that let us understand that in terms of to influence change, we have to have both.
Especially bigger change in that
Yeah.
what's going on right now. I mean,
Especially with what's going on right now.
especially what's going on right now. Like, look at it. In the UK, even the biggest killer of men is suicide. Men are literally killing themselves more than they die from cancer, which is totally crazy.
Yeah.
Here also, men kill themselves every other day. People don't even speak about it now.
Well, if you
They
look at
make news all
stats, the stats is
Yeah.
different because they say most women attempt and most men complete.
Yeah, because men, we get a job done. A very dark joke there, you know. But the thing is, it's sad that, I mean, I have suffered from depression and I've been through that battle. So I know to reach that low level, it really could get you. And honestly, to me, God sent my child because I said, you're not living for you all.
Reasons, yeah.
You cannot, you can't go through with what you feeling to do.
Which touches on what we said before. So everybody needs somebody.
Yeah.
They
you
may
need
come in
somebody.
different forms.
They
Yeah.
may come in different forms. Right? But and the thing is, it's just yin and yang. A masculine energy needs a feminine energy to actually feel at whole. And honestly, my child's mother, she holds me down as a feminine energy. My mom and my family, right and well on there, is all run by women. Like the
Right.
women are the matriarchs.
Yeah.
And the men were, but the women still are.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because the men go old and the women stayed. You know, they don't die. They don't die. I think I was telling you this. I believe that, you know, we both see how the Syrians and the Indian owned companies will, as we just said, will reward the clowns, right? And I find it seems to me that the only people who get the money is the one who doing the massa friendly content. And why do you think that just keeps happening? Like, why is it that they only, as you were saying, that yes, they want that for the clicks and the views, like, but what is the main reason? Because the thing is, and I'm going to say this, that they don't hire any white boys or the white boys who doing things to be the clowns on their stuff though. Like the boys, like the white boys and the Syrian boys, and they have content that they created, but they always respected in their content. They always keep their content real nice and clean. But they don't have them dancing like a fool.
What is this
They only
podcast?
have
What
the-
is this podcast rated? Because
It's always rated R.
because you're touching on something that
They don't-
makes sense, but
yeah.
only if you pay attention.
But that's when I pay attention because I pay attention to all the content creators. I was like, they never ask certain people to do certain things. But if it is to get on like a fool and thing, you have certain people that you're going to employ to do that because point and laugh at him.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like the more serious projects like planting seeds and all those things, you see a different type of people that they choose to have as the face,
Right.
as the forefront. You know, so it seems that to me,
Make sure you say it seems to you.
To me,
Right.
it seems that the black boys is for the jokes, and everybody else which more look like them they are serious people.
Right.
Yeah. So, but the colored boys and they let's bring them in for a good laugh.
So that's what you see.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. That's what I am seeing.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
So let us challenge the viewers also to see if they see that, right? That's one. Secondly, when you look at the entertainment community, most people who go into that community, especially from the Caribbean, are of a certain minority, right?
Yeah.
And it can be based on societal levels. It can be based on a lot of different things, right? It can just be based on what it is we are taught growing up and what we think is acceptable over what's not acceptable. So that could be the result of that. Now, I would say it comes from a perspective of looking at it and saying, well, that doesn't make sense. But the fact that you can voice it, I applaud that because you're voicing something that people think about and they just don't say. So this is why I'm saying I was glad to do this with you because we're talking about it from a transparent view, not to shame or to downgrade anybody else, but to kind of get them in terms of awareness, right? Like Like that's why I said after they listen to this and they listen to it again, take a look and let
Exactly.
us know
Yeah.
if you are not seeing what's being said. Because
Exactly.
what you're saying is not something that's not being said, it's just not being talked about, right? But to answer the question, I think it's because when we grow up thinking that this is what is acceptable based on our environments, there are a pocket of people that don't think that is acceptable. Does that make you look better as a business person? I'm not saying that you might be more successful if you do the comedy or not, but are you more successful if you do the comedy or not in their ideas? Maybe their ideas no. Maybe their ideas, well, I could pay the comedian.
Yeah, I have a budget for you for this. To
Right.
do this.
But again, so it's what we've been taught. And that's why I said there's a lot of things that could change here for a positive impact on the country and the Caribbean. But it starts with being aware. And that's what you just did. You literally just said something to make people say, wait a minute, I never really thought about that.
Exactly.
And this is where your Diamond Project will come up. This is where we have these type of conversations, because we need to make people aware of what it is that they don't want to talk about it, and to make sure people see that there's somebody that could say something about it, and that you, the viewer, could also say, you know what, I really watched that. Why is that? And ask a question. Because the question is not going to bring about the change.
Yeah, because I wondering what we change.
Well, I mean, not right away, but you'll ask questions.
Like, we see what's happening.
But you see.
Yeah. I think that people do see. I mean, and I would believe that they are few, because there's a next guy, I can't remember his podcast name, but I mean, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
I see he's trying to do something which is impactful also. I mean, Kyle Maloney, thank God, he's really he does not go down the road of for clicks and likes, but if you follow him, if you're really looking for inspiration on, we could reach where we need to reach. That is good. Dominic Smith, who now got a position in the UNC as a minister.
Yeah, so
he was a color boy. He went to different, he ended up in CIC and stuff. But these boys are actually doing stuff, and this is what I find the media should actually
be promoting
more. Like, show
That's what we're
their
talking about.
wins. Why are we not showing their wins?
Because it is not entertaining. Like this
It's
is what
so entertaining.
no, to you it's entertaining, but then you have a level of awareness that most people may not have. It's not entertaining enough, and that's what I'm telling you. I have been able to be successful in what I do on my page, my personal page, because I've been doing it for over. My son is older, so yeah, for over
My son is older.
over 15 years
Right.
of doing stuff. I started actually doing a lot of social media stuff in 2009 on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right? And it was writing and modeling and acting. It was all that since 2009. So my following was generic over a period of time. A lot of what you see now where they're liking and clicking and following and all this other stuff is because it's entertaining. And the entertainment breaks you away from reality sometimes. So it means that the serious topics do not really present themselves because now I can laugh at it. Right? And maybe that's a way too. Maybe that's a way to get across to you, maybe get you to laugh at it and think about it. So you mentioned a name. I will also mention a name. Kyle Maloney. Right. I saw him do something for men on a men's health thing with depression and suicide. I saw that. And I was really happy to see him come across as authentic, as genuine, but there's some that don't. And I'm open to talk about it.
Definitely.
There's some that don't. So with him, I will quickly look at what he does, because to me, I see authentic feelings and empathy towards men, although he's funny. So I'll give him that. However, when a company aligns themselves or people align themselves with somebody just because this person is funny, thinking it's going to benefit them at some point, it does not anymore. My own, organic, and over a period of time. But it's consistency, because what we do here in the Caribbean a lot is we start stuff and then we stop.
So much of them start stuff and stuff.
And stop.
I've been watching some people who I probably wouldn't call those people names, but I see that they do some really great projects.
But it didn't work. It didn't work.
But it made me think that did they just do it for the cash grab? Because how do you go from doing what kind of work I see they were doing and starting to grow that kind of things
Well,
for the culture?
not everybody has that, and that's
decide to do a food thing because people get more
consistency.
and like with food.
Yeah, because remember, you're in a bigger environment where that's not accepted as much. So for the person who, and I take nothing away from what they would have done, but what I would tell you is that the reason why a lot of them, and I've been there, where I actually wanted to give up on different things.
Yeah.
Like I formed different groups and the men were not as interactive. And I was like, listen, you all make me feel want to give up. But then that's what they expect me to do. That's why I've bbeen so consistent.
Yeah.
Because the ones who try something, it may get 180 likes. Versus the guy that makes I can make a skit right now and maybe get 2,000 likes in the first 20 minutes. However, it doesn't make the impact, and one outweighs the other. So at a point in time, if you're doing it for the real reason, and again, I think anything done with good intentions is already a success, you find yourself saying, that doesn't work. Let me try something else.
Exactly.
And if we continue to promote that, that's what you're going to get. So they will be doing some self-impactful, but it will be so off-brand of what they're known for that it really is not taken as serious. Yeah, so I think men are still living in the old narrative. And when I say our old narrative, it's because the idea of protect and provide was at a time where most of the men were the ones that were going out to work and the wives were at home. So their role was to protect and to provide. So it's the old narrative. The new narrative is where you could have a wife or a girlfriend or a partner that literally helps you for both of you all to become successful and to achieve more. So the idea of protect and provide is no longer a new narrative, that's the old narrative. So if you blame her for the things that you're not doing or for how far you have not come, you're still stuck in the old narrative. And this is why I said this is a time for men to understand now that things are changing around us. We are going to become extinct. And I keep saying it like the dinosaur because I keep seeing women not just becoming equals, they're elevating themselves while men sit in silence and complain.
Yes.
Right? They do not open up, they don't talk about it. The vulnerability being softness, that's because that's our old narrative. If a woman wants you to be open with her, yes, we have the thing, or she will throw it back in my face, she will use it against me because she has the power of words.
Exactly.
Because you as a male supposed to have strength versus her power of words.
Exactly. That's
just how it works. That's the tools for battle. But we can't live in an old narrative. We're not here to protect and provide alone. We are more than just that. And I posted that too. We're more than just that. If you see yourself as a provide and protect, which means that you have to be with somebody who has none of those qualities.
Right.
Therefore, you can be this one man. And they have men that are living like that, where they have that woman at home, they take everything at the house, everything is set up, and he goes out and he provides and he protects.
Yeah.
But in 2000 and any other year going ahead, we're not in that space anymore. So why are men still living in this old mindset?
Definitely.
That's where that's the challenge that you get now with the project, because now you have men saying, well, my role as a man is to do this. Well, buddy, your role has changed. And I don't know if you're not aware of it, but everybody else around you is also changing. So why are you still stuck there? Is it more comfortable for you to think that you're a protector and a provider?
Right.
Is it more comfortable for you to attach that to being masculine?
Definitely. And yeah, I mean,
That's what it is.
It is that. It literally is that. Like, I think it is that. Well,
But that's why I say it's
people
the old
will view
narrative.
me, yeah, people. Well, I need to be viewed as the man. 'Cause I need to be a man.
Yeah.
You know.
You know, but quickly, if you look at a lot of successful actors who you never see their wives,
Yeah.
when you have an interview with that couple, 8 out of 10 times, the man says, she was the one that kept pushing me
Yeah.
to do my craft. Because actors don't get paid like that. Not everybody is going to be the big actor.
Exactly.
So the ones who are becoming successful the years before they got there, whoever
They
their
didn't have
partner
shit.
was, they didn't have anything.
Yeah.
And they were constantly being egged on and motivated and saying, hey, go ahead and continue to do it while I do this. But that's a real partnership.
Yeah.
You see, that's what works. What we're stuck in is what we say, oh, well, yeah, I make all the money. No, you don't. No, you don't. Especially now, go to a lot of these big corporations, see who's the CEO, see who's
Exactly.
the head exec.
Exactly.
So it has changed.
So let's talk about balance here. Can a man be quiet, nurturing, maybe even feminine in energy and still be seen as strong, you think?
Yes.
Yes? And by who though? Because if we say it in the Caribbean, majority of the people who will see like a more softer man or a guy who probably he doesn't like sports and everything, like, you know, he's not the I don't watch sports that often. I mean, unless you're that playing, because to me I always be like, why you're getting on so much? These teams don't even know your island exists.
Right.
I a little cunty like that. So yeah, I do say those things because I just never really. But I know I've tried that playing something like I real into it, then they disappoint us. So you know, and,
They've been getting a lot better.
yeah, but they are getting a lot better. I mean, and of course, cricket gave us pride. You know,
Right.
I mean, Brian Lara. I had a meeting with him when I was doing brands. One of the nicest guys, but he also actually is a more softer spoken person. He's not a loud and out there person. He does have a slight arrogance in which he worked to deserve that. You know, he deserves to speak like that because he did accomplish a lot. He did work hard. He does have a lot of discipline. But you would never see him acting like a macho ass, right? And still, he and all when we had our meeting way back, I think it's like people just in England he is much more celebrated than he is here.
Yes.
Like there's no respect for somebody who literally put us on the map and let people know about our island because of him. Like he has video games that sell out. And
Well, funny enough, that's
that.
biblical because
crazy.
it's biblical because there's a verse that my mom really liked that I tattooed on my skin actually that says, "No prophet is accepted in his hometown,"
I love that.
and that's part of why a lot of us leave and go and are celebrated elsewhere because that's just how it
Definitely.
is. But what we have to do is come back and make the impact, like a lot of the older ones have done, where they come back and they try to make an impact in the country.
And even with thinking about that with different type of men now, like I would even say the next thing, and like there's a dangerous mix-up happening online. People equating how you act with who you're attracted to. Can you break down the difference between gender expression and sexuality?
Tough.
Yeah.
Let's go back to what you asked me before. The soft man or the man who is able to be vulnerable, which is actually the strong man, he will be accepted by a woman or a partner that understands how important that is for both of them to grow.
Right.
It is not going to be a majority. And we have to understand that in life, when you look at a lot of different things and a lot of different areas, the majority does not really win stuff. If you think about it, if you have an island like Trinidad and Tobago where we always look at certain people, certain types of people and say, oh, they have all the money. Are they the majority? No, they're the minority. So if you think about success, maybe it's better to be in the minority than the majority.
Definitely.
Right? So if a man who is like that, who's a soft man, for lack of better words, or a man who is more open and more inclined to say how he feels, or who is in touch with his feminine side, or whatever that is. I mean, we all have both.
Yeah, within our energies. Yeah.
Men and women.
Yeah.
However, that man is going to be accepted by the person who really understands how important that is for success.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we have to put more out there and say, hey, listen, it's okay for people to not understand.
Exactly.
Like I've reached the point now, I understand people don't understand me. I get that. And I'm okay. So we have to make it okay for people to understand that, because they will be accepted. And when it comes to like the gender aspect of it and sexuality, and I'm not sure if this is what the question you were asking, but I'll get broad. A male is a male, regardless of what their sexuality is.
Exactly.
I have had interaction with a lot of different people on my travels. I've had a PR person that was literally, he was a gay person, but he's still my best friend.
Definitely.
One of my cousins is a big director out in LA.
Right.
And his sexuality has nothing to do with our relationship.
Definitely not.
And I think when we look at it from that lens, we look at it from a narrow lens, a narrow point of view, and it becomes more of an ego-driven conversation. The reason why I think I don't have an issue with a lot of those type of conversations is because there's a mutual respect, and once it's a mutual respect, things can happen. The disrespect is where things get kind of thrown off. The disrespect in terms of how people approach you and the way that they talk to you, that is where things get thrown off. And then the masculine side of most men is to beat their chest and to get loud and aggressive, instead of trying to figure out, well, what's really going on.
Exactly.
So I think when it comes to the male aspect of it, my project is not just for the masculine man.
And I realize that, and that's why I appreciate it, because the thing is, and you actually hit it on the head what you just said. I believe it don't matter once you associate yourself with the gender that you're assigned. I mean, I'm now going to try and go into the whole other stuff. I still trying to find out that myself, but I from what I see and your project can literally speak to any man. Once you are a man and you associate your gender with being a man, it should not matter your sexuality. A man is a man. You are a man, you can still show up in man spaces and be men. Because I have a lot of gay friends who generally act like men, but media will portray a gay man as to be like a lady. It's like majority of gay people are not getting on like women out here.
Well, you find that out sometimes without knowing. Like you really find that out when you see these people in their environments, right?
As me traveling, realized that. Like,
that's what. You expanded, so you understand.
I remember when I now first started to travel and go out for long and things. I actually started. Me thinking I was the most respectful and most open and welcoming to anybody, because I am fluid in my own space itself too. So it's like I was sounding like a bigot asshole when it is I was away, because I would ask people, and that's when I now start traveling. I was still in my 20s. I used to be like, oh, so you gay, straight? And then you have to put me aside. And then the group I was hanging out with was like, you don't need to ask everybody that. So you don't need to ask everybody that. And she's like, the girl who I was dating there, she's like, you could just consider everybody fluid here. It's like, because you don't need to, first of all, you need to tell you that, because you're not meeting them in a romantic setting anyway. And she's like, secondly, it's so weird to ask people that anymore. It's like, why would you care? How does it affect your life?
And that's what the point is. The point is this: if you have a mutual respect, it shouldn't really matter, because it comes just like if and this is where a lot of the confusion comes, because when we think about the male, we think about it from a level of masculinity, which a masculinity is an action. That's what they think. So which means that if and I've had a lot of friends, a lot of people in the entertainment industry who there's always been mutual respect, and I have kept that relationship for years, and people may understand like, well, how come you talk to that person? I'm like,
what's wrong?
Well, why not?
Exactly.
Right? You tell me why, but why not? And this is why I've opened this space for a lot of people. And even when I promote stuff and I talk about stuff, I literally post some stuff saying, hey, listen, we also have to extend to the gay community as well, because there are also men in that space. And it is something that I think we leave out a lot, and that's why I've tried not to, because. And
I see that in your work.
Well, I've tried not to, because
don't make everything about this relationship and how he deals with women and this and that. It's like there are much bigger things, and use words. I like to use words as partners, because
I don't know. I was just about to tell you that. That's why I use words like partner, because a relationship dynamic in today's world is not the same relationship dynamic in the past. And if we are looking to affect change in any type of way, a positive change, we have to be able to deal with everybody. Because what happens is that we leave out certain individuals based on our perception. I can't. If this is more purpose over popularity, I don't need people to clap for me if I decide, hey, listen, that's also a group that we need to focus on as well.
Yeah.
And it's because I've had interaction, but it's also because my mind has been expanded by seeing different environments and there being a mutual respect. Let me keep saying that. If there's a mutual respect, I'm there to have a conversation. But if there's no mutual respect, I'm not a part of it. Because then you could be a man or a woman, you're just disrespectful.
Exactly.
And that's why I open it up, because I want people to understand that we cannot leave out that space because of our own perception.
Exactly.
You know, so
exactly, because and that is what causes. And let me tell you, when it is you discard these men or look at them as less than, that is where it is they are men who probably suffering silently in themselves and then wasting women time, because now they don't accept themselves.
So but what I was going to tell you too is that the man who is not comfortable in his own skin does not understand that the only thing you need from that person is respect.
And it's so sad, because I can see certain people like literally wasting women's time because you don't want you don't want society to judge you. But the thing is, you need to value yourself, man. What are you producing out there that no matter my personal business, I should be respected for this. Your sexuality does not need to be your identity. I don't even know why it is.
Well, sexuality has also been compensation. We've also compensated the sexuality in terms of bravado, to be something like that. And I think when it comes from me, people are like shocked, like, why would you, like, you saying that? You know, because they think, but that's who I am.
That's part of taking
but that's who I am. So my thing is, when I say it, sometimes it makes a difference in a positive way, because they're like, well, if he could say it, then okay, maybe let me think about it. And then you have the opposite spectrum where people say, well, he's saying that, I don't think he believes that, because look at how he lives, right? But it has nothing to do with that, because my thing is if I'm looking to make the impact in a general sense for a Caribbean culture for men, it's all men.
Exactly.
It can't be what I choose.
It needs to be all men.
And that's why I said it's normally purpose over popularity. And it has to be that for me, because then the impact will not be made.
And I think that, which is very controversial to say, I believe that there are men who just decide, well, let me act more feminine, or more, let me be like, call myself a girl and thing, because society just casts them out and say, a man. Like even, and I had like some great friends talking, and like the woman was addressing one, and like, hey girl, I told them, I said, don't let her call you a girl. You're not a girl. So why are you a girl? I said, do not ever let anybody call you a girl. I said, because you're not a girl. So unless you want to be called a girl, that's okay.
I know about said unless they want to be called a girl.
But I know for a fact, I knew him. I was like, you don't want to be called, do not ever. I said, even if you act feminine, you talk, look at me, I talk with my hands, people look at me, all sorts of things. I was like, you will never be able to call me that. I said, I am a man. In all aspects of my life, I am a man. So, and I told him, I was like, you never let anybody call you.
It has to be from a broad sense. In order to make the impact, I cannot just base things based on people's opinion of what the masculinity should look like.
And
so that's why.
And that's where it goes into like your mental health, which will now lead me to the next thing. Like from your Dear Men series, right? What are the top 3 things men are truly battling in silence?
Value, their value, their own personal value, perception of other people's opinion of them, right?
Definitely.
Perception. And I think a lot of it is identity. Who am I?
Who am I?
So when I say value and then I say the perception of other people and then I say identity, the reason why I put it in that order is because if our values just told to us what we are and we are not able to live up to that value, mentally we're in a bad space.
Definitely.
If you look at it and you say, hey, listen, like, I don't even know who I am, or I don't know what I represent as an individual, mentally you're going to be in a bad space, because then you're constantly searching for that. And if you're so concerned about other people's opinion of you, every day you show up as a different person.
Definitely.
Which means you will never be consistently you. So this is why these are all the points. It's all authentic.
They're not authentic.
However, authentic people don't really exist that much anymore. If you really think about it, a lot of people are just doing it for whatever reason. So when you say that person now has to have a lot of acknowledgement and awareness of themselves in order to live in their own light. And this is why so many people are pushed to the side.
Do you think that it comes with the fact that many men were not accepted and loved early on, so that they look to try and find a tribe that just accepts them and love them and like probably like follow whatever that tribe was doing.
Yeah, and there are people like that, and we can't
Because my
say
family
anything.
is very open and accepting of life. Like, then again, I don't kind of like, I don't give.
You do what you want, exactly.
Because of having my kid, I realized
Yeah.
nobody's coming to pay my bills, you know. Nobody's coming to save me when it is I down. Nobody coming to see about me when it is I dealing with my demons. So I had to see about myself. And the thing is, I had to put a big word towards myself.
Yeah.
Like, who's you? Like,
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, I had to stop caring about, overly caring about people that don't really impact your life at all. Because when you really look at it, the people who we studying and who opinions are we...
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's not
doesn't
going to
matter.
affect you.
And this is why,
anyway,
this is why when you
besides
asked me,
your-
I
your
said to you,
feelings.
value, the way how people perceive you, and your identity. Because once you have those three things, or you have those three things for the least to be in order, you now understand what you just said. A lot of people are not going to come save you. Nobody's supposed to save you anyhow.
Exactly.
But a lot of people who have these opinions, they have those opinions about everybody.
Yeah.
So you taking that personally affects what you do, and it also affects your trajectory, which, again, if you let other people do that for you, you will never show up as
Controlling
yourself.
your whole energy.
Yeah, so I think those would be the main things that lead to a lot of mental health issues, and also the fact that a lot of men have not been taught effective communication, or have not been encouraged to seek counseling or therapy.
But counseling and therapy is something that every time I tell people, like when they come to me with issues, a lot of people like to vent to me because I'm very open. So a lot of men, women, but you come and vent to me, I tell them, go to a therapist. And then encourage them, like, therapy.
There's a stigma. There's a stigma.
I say, okay, but
Yeah.
go to church.
Yeah, there's a stigma.
You know?
There's a stigma because remember, those things are all indications that you're not as strong as you perceive
But
yourself.
even in
to
that way, now I start telling everybody, even I like go to church now.
be. Yeah,
I said, if all
find
these things
a
happen,
way.
go to church.
Yeah.
I said, just being in a space of giving thanks, that energy of thankfulness does elevate your whole mood. It does
Yeah.
make you feel much better to start your week. I always tell my daughter this: starting your week giving thanks in a
Gratitude.
space with so much energy of that being happening. I said, you coming out there with a shield.
Yeah.
I say it could be spiritual or religious. I said, but I want you to take it as that shield of good energy does keep away a lot of things that you don't even know would have been coming to and would affect you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what do we lose when we don't feel safe enough just to be real with our boys or partners? Like what are we losing when it is we're putting on this act?
I think, and I mean, we could say lose. I could say what we're missing out on
Yeah.
is community. And the reason why I say we're missing out on community is because a lot of the conversation is actually going to be something that's relatable if other people understand what you're going through. Because as human beings, we have so many different things that intersect or interact with each other that we could relate to somebody else if we only tell them. Most people walk around thinking that they're the only ones. And that's where the issue comes from. So like if you go and if I come tell you something, I build a community and a camaraderie with you. It helps me to deal with my mental issues too, because then I feel more comfortable to talk to you.
Right.
You may not understand. And I want to make this clear. Most people don't fully understand because you could never fully understand somebody's dynamic or situation. You can't.
Definitely.
However, you may be able to relate to that. And that's where the community is formed. And that's where camaraderie is formed. Most women have communities. Most men are isolated.
I think that is so true because we're traveling now, and this is where the example, and this is something I go into now. As I tell everybody on this podcast, I learning with them, they learning with me. Because I'm not speaking from a space of I know. I'm speaking to people who I believe know,
Yeah.
who could tell us more. Because of traveling up and down and stuff, I am no longer readily available for everybody. I'm no longer readily able to come to everybody live and show up and things. So when I'm away now, 2 years ago for my birthday, about 60 people post happy birthday to me. Oh, it was crazy. People giving all these messages because I was, my life was about showing up for everybody.
Yeah.
Now, the friend I am to these people have not stopped. I'm still their friend, but I just was not in front of their face anymore. I was not as available anymore. This birthday gone here, the only person that posted me, I would say my child's mother, she was the only person that said happy birthday to me. Basically, everybody else was like a kind of thing. So, and even now when I come home and I finish work, I realize, I do have like 2 or 3 core friends, but they all have kids, and like, you know, life has taken over.
Life
and I was
happened, yeah.
like, I have no friends,
Yeah.
more or less. I have family because I grew up with the friends who I have. But I mean, really and truly, I don't have anybody who I could be like, oh, you know what? Work done, boy. I'm gonna go and think. I'm gonna call this one and go and take a line.
Yeah.
No, not as much as I used to.
Well, have you seen that in terms of in communities of women though?
That is the thing. And
Right.
women now, tomorrow they have a day off. Girls trip. They could literally, a woman could plan stuff with all these people, and they always have this kind of group of women.
And with the
who
girls
look
trip,
up to
is
each
there
other.
is there a stigma to the girls trip? If a bunch of girls go on a trip versus if a bunch of guys go on a trip?
guys go on a trip now, it's wild. Oh, they're nasty, wild, nasty, man, wildness. And they have to show like, hey, champagne pop, and things like that.
I mean, everybody doing the same thing now, eh? However, I think what you just said is a key point, because the isolation part comes from the fact that we've not been taught about community except in sports, right? So for sports, community. But other than that, all your daily challenges, you're by yourself, you have to figure it out. Whereas women are now empowering other women. And that's another issue, and I'm glad that we're here so I can talk about it. That's another issue I'm seeing. Caribbean-wise, if you look around, there's a lot of empowerment for girls and women, and not as many empowerment for boys and men, because that's what society has already labeled women to be, more community-based, empathetic. So you have that, whereas men are supposed to just figure it out. Now, if we continue to go that way, we will continue to deal with the mental health issues. And like you said, when you come home, you may not have much people to call. I can tell you from experience, I don't have much people to call either. That's why there are specific people in my life that I know make sense. And one of the things I saw recently was a post of somebody saying, the problem is not that you don't have enough friends, it's the fact that you call the wrong people friends.
Exactly.
So you have to choose that environment and that, like you said earlier, that tribe. But it happens. It happens. And men have always been isolated. Men have always learned how to isolate themselves, because we have to figure it out on our own.
Definitely.
Not through a partner, not through a relationship. It's just figure it out. Because remember, at that time, the old narrative, there's nobody else to figure it out. If the woman is at home and you're out there working and making the money, and something goes wrong, who has to figure it out? She'll figure it out for you?
Yeah.
But that's the old narrative.
Exactly.
So that's why these conversations are much needed, because we need men to understand, hey, listen, you don't have to figure it out by yourself. Hey, you could call somebody, and the other person on the other line has to be able to understand that too. This is another issue, because I can be vulnerable, and my analogy is the cell phone that's off. I pick up my cell phone and I call you. And when I call you, don't pick up.
Definitely.
That's the woman that we're talking to these days. And I say they could message me if they want to, but that's who you're meeting. I'm the vulnerable man. I talk to a woman. She doesn't know how to receive me being vulnerable. Guess what she does? She shuts me down. Guess what I do? I shut down.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have the cell phone on. You couldn't receive the message.
Yeah.
So this is why I say we have to build more community. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to create more communities. And it doesn't have to be my community. They can join any community that they want to.
This is your thing. Your project is so important because it will give now men. That's why I say I want to come and ride the ATVs. I want to be in those.
Yes, definitely.
They will, and I believe that I'm quite sure that many of the men, more single men join the Dear Men project than relationship men. Am I right or wrong with that?
Actually, no, you're wrong.
Wrong.
Yeah,
Okay.
Surprisingly and both pleasantly, a lot of the guys who are in relationships are actually joining, because remember, they don't have time for themselves.
Have anything.
And then if they have the old narrative of I'm supposed to do this, then they don't have time. So when I say, hey, let's make some time, they're now looking at that as an opportunity. And that's what the project is about. The project is about bringing awareness. It's not about telling you what to do and what not to do. It's just about bringing awareness to some issues that you may not want to talk about, because maybe you may feel judged. My therapist said not to say I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I will say how I feel about stuff, because there's somebody out there that's listening, that one person that says, you know what, God said something in that podcast. I agree. Definitely. I'm going to ask for an hour. I need to tell her I need an hour for myself. When I come home from work, I don't want to talk to you.
I don't want to talk.
When I come home from work, I want to be home for an hour by myself, relax, decompress, and I can deal with all the after.
Exactly.
But be able to be brave enough to say that. But she also has to be smart enough to understand that makes him better.
I find that women and partners, they're mostly empathetic towards each other and just forget empathy towards us a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, So you also only, I don't want to come out.
Well, they haven't taught that.
It's like,
Listen, so
it's for your girlfriend now. You have all the
but
empathy.
you
for
you
me,
you
I'm
see
like,
me
"Oh, crap."
you see me say this a lot. I never pick sides. The reason why I never pick sides is because I cannot expect us as men to be vulnerable and be effective communicators and be open to say how we feel about stuff or to share our opinion about something and expect women who now on the flip side have not been taught how to receive the messages
Exactly.
to be all of a sudden gurus of how to understand a vulnerable man. So this is why the project is actually for everybody. The project is for the Caribbean men and the people that love them because it is a community. The awareness is for your community. Because when you go straight at men, men could now get into where they go to bash women. That's not productive. If you go and you say, okay, let's just empower women, women now tend to look at men as less than. That's not productive. So are we now sending out a message of community or are we sending a message of pick a side?
Exactly.
I don't want to choose pick a side.
I should never pick a side.
Because you said about your family. There's a lot of women in my family. I have 4 nieces. I have a sister. I have 2 daughters. Like, I mean, I'm saying, like, we have that. So when you see that there, how am I supposed to be the best version of me if I cannot help other people to even understand who I am?
Definitely.
And this is where the issue comes in, but this is where the problem also shows you what the solution is. It has to be a collective and it has to be a community of awareness.
I love that. That's amazing to actually put it out like that. So, how is the lack of emotional education, you would say, in the Caribbean, hurting Caribbean men right now?
We're quick to respond and react.
You think that's why we're so violent and angry?
Well, if we do history, there's a lot of reasons why we're so angry. If we go back to the reason how the Caribbean has been diversified, we go back into that from days of slavery in terms of who were put where. We could go back into that. That's a history, right? We could go back to where they sent certain type of slaves to certain Caribbean islands. And that's just the communities that we built. However, in today's world, emotional intelligence is something that most people don't pay attention to. And they don't pay attention to it because it's not something that we talk about often. We only talk about, well, why are you so angry? Well, that anger could be a bunch of other things. It could be frustration. It could be disappointment, right? It could be lack of self-value. But it comes across in the one way that we know how to express it, which is anger. Yeah, anger, right? So Caribbean-wise, we're naturally, they say we're hot-blooded, right? So I know for sure for me, I've had to work on this for a long time because I used to quicker react than be proactive. I was always reactive. But then I realized, I still work through that right now. But then we also have to think about what caused us to react a certain type of way. And this is where I said we can't blame anybody because it's now both sides. So I think Caribbean-wise, we just have to maybe seek a lot more emotional intelligence about ourselves, and this is individual. This can't be community.
No, it's very individual.
Individually, we have to understand what makes us tick, literally, and what we will react quicker to, and hold ourselves accountable and try to change that. That's as much as I can say because I'm also a work in progress. Like there are things that piss me off.
And I always try to talk to other men. Like the other day, I gave somebody a bad drive because I was in a rush.
Good job.
Always late, and then the person who I gave the bad drive literally stopped traffic, like he did not move on in traffic and just stand up there and watched me, and like it's completely like going off on me. My glasses up, I like I just turned on the glass. I was like, "Where were you going through today? Just know that tomorrow's the next day. Like it's not the worst thing." I said, I told her, I said, "You could go on." I said, "The bad drive is over."
But you piss him off even more.
But I get more mad. You tell me to have myself a Merry Christmas. Like, you know, so I'm like.
No, you piss him off.
I was like, well, I just trying to tell you, it's not that serious. And I actually coming down from being that kind of reactive person. Like I even tell you the kids that I manage now, I was like, you shouldn't allow people to have so much power over your energy.
Have you ever had a conversation where the person came at you, and you allowed that back and forth in a good way in terms of you dealing with it from a calm space and dealing with it from aggressive? Have you ever allowed that conversation to get to the end?
Yes.
Right. So
actually very recently.
In a case like that, do you not realize how the level of anger or frustration goes down every time you continue to ask questions. So there's
Or
this,
even let them have their
right. So there's this video that I saw a long time ago, which kind of helped me to kind of go through some of that stuff. Where if I got the negative or the frustrated, I was the calm. But I was a continuous calm, meaning I would ask questions like, hey, listen, is that how I made you feel? And keep asking these probing questions. Because they were pissed off in the beginning, eh? Like, what do you mean? But then once they engage you in that conversation, coming down to the end, you find out what exactly happened. And you know what they say to you? I remember this perfectly like recent. You know, I'm not sorry how I react to that to the boy, but I just leave home and them just real pissed me off.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what happened? And then it went into a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
But we don't allow it to get to that point.
Yeah, we just want to judge them and be like, you get my career.
Yeah, last boy, drive on, man. You want to come over here, drive on.
This is where it actually, I was telling my cousin the other day, she's away, I was like, what I believe, because I went through a lot of shit, a lot. I mean, I did a lot of wrong things. I was really, sometimes a tornado to deal with. But I always, throughout my whole life of that tornado mix that I was, I always knew that it had to be a reason and a purpose that one, I even survived, one, I stay out of jail, and one, that I am who I am now. And the thing is, I have so much empathy for everyone who I see being what society will class as, God, what a crazy, stupid person. Why you gotta use the words?
Yeah, because we don't know.
Because the thing is, I've been that person. I've been you. And I always try to tell them, I said, I'm not telling you from a place of judgment. I'm telling you from a place I've been you.
So what's your word there? You can relate.
Yeah, I can relate. Yeah. So many times, and I let certain when like my brothers or cousins or everybody have their moment of cuss out and go crazy, and then I call them the next day. I was like, "Now you vent all your stuff that you're feeling. So what you need to do now is now go. I'm gonna say the only way to make certain things right for certain things that you said. So do an apology tour. I said, let me explain to you what an apology tour is. You give a call, you send a message, say, I'm very sorry, I was feeling this way, and I don't ever judge the person who having the big blowout and you lash out. Yeah. Because I was you. Yeah. And I wanted, the grace I wanted when I probably didn't get that grace many times, I could now extend that to you. And 90% of the times, anybody who going through a big cuss out and getting on mad, or even if it's directed at me or around me, the conversation always dies down to them like speaking to me and understand. And then you find out when you really find out what's going on with these men behind the scenes of that cuss out, it's like, I don't even know how some of them even waking up.
There's a lot of men right now. There's a lot of men right now going through it. Like they're going through it every single day.
Somebody to just but as soon as a big angry man realize that you are listening to him, and you're actually trying to talk to him, and you're like, all right, well, because I understand what you're saying, and then you, as you say, people ask questions, they always tone down, and they're like, you could see that they're so happy that somebody actually cares. For lack of a better word, they're so happy somebody actually give a fuck.
Yeah, well, that's because the wall is now down. Because remember, the first thing is to put the wall up, because that's what they've been taught to do.
Yeah, to huff and puff, and it's like,
and you fall, get up, dust your foot out, don't cry, I'm here, move on.
I think that is why it is many of the people, like the society is so split with if people should have guns easy, because of how unstable Caribbean men really are right now.
I can't touch on that subject.
Yeah, so
please
leave it alone, right? So now, but dealing with like friendship and support and even jealousy, you post, I think plenty times I see you think you will have posts from what I see, you talk about fake smiles or people like who will envy you, right? In this industry, in the Caribbean too, how you navigate that while still choosing peace? Like, because you saying, well, I don't care, right? But there is always some part of us that, like when you're better, I just think, that person really just coming at me for no reason. And I seen it even in like I do certain classes and thing, and like me, I just playing out my work as honest, and I could see like you have that one person like just overly judgmental everything you do or say. And I was like, all me just be inside there because he's still there. That part of your energies never die, I say. So you just learn as an adult to suppress the negative part. The negative part is something be like, we should go in and that month. And I just wouldn't. Well, I wouldn't. But I just see it as like, but why are you jealously? Why?
But it's an ongoing process for me as well, and I'll be very transparent with you. It's still, there's times that it bothers me. There's times that it frustrates me to see it comes like people doing stuff that they copy from you and they'll give you credit, right? Those things still, every once in a while, those things still bother me, and I'm just being transparent. However, what I've realized over the years of doing what I'm doing is that I'm always a supporter. I'm always the one clapping for everybody else, even though they don't clap for me, because I'm not looking for the applause. But I'm not looking for the applause, because in order for me to make the impact, I have to continue doing what I'm doing. So if you ever see those posts about creating your own lane, there's no traffic in your own lane, that's me now. However, there was a time where I was like, well, why is this person not even giving me credit? Or why is this not? Why is that? But that was more about me. That was more about me not understanding my value.
And then looking for
validation, because I didn't understand my value. Now, breaking news, it doesn't matter what they think to me, because none of them really help propel what I'm doing, and the people that do, those are the ones that matter to me. Those are the ones that I fully support. Now, I will support everybody because I don't believe in competition with other people. I believe in collaborating and community, but that's where I've got to now. But so this is also a work in progress for me, because this is years of saying, well, this person, that, and then I had to realize, okay, well, I cannot continue to do that. I have to literally say, okay, well, what are you focused on, and stay focused on that. But it's something that you have to learn over time, but you also have to understand your own value, because they still do it up to now. And again, the only reason why we came on this podcast, because I could share this openly. Up to now, they still do the same thing. We celebrate every month in terms of whatever it is. June is Men's Mental Health Month. I'm waiting to see the bandwagoners jump off when July reaches.
Of course.
Or when November gets done and International Men's Day is over. I'm waiting for the next month for them to jump off again. I've been consistent. Now, because I've now said, okay, God, create your own lane and stay in your own lane and stay focused on what you're about to do, those things don't bother me anymore. I just laugh now. Right. So I would sit back and say, okay, cool, let's see how long this lasts for you, because I know you're not going to be consistent. And the ones that are consistent, I lend help.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, cool, you're authentic. Let me help you. I'm not, they can't take what my energy is. They can't take what's me.
Yeah.
They could take what's them and they could copy from me. But then for them to even copy it, I have to come up with it first.
Exactly.
So that's why I don't really feel as frustrated as I used to before, because now I've realized that I need to stay in my own lane and stay on my purpose. And a lot of people will jump on there for a period of time and like clockwork, they'll jump right off. So I'm consistent doing my project to bring awareness. You might get more likes than me this month because you were on it. But next month, you're back to
exactly
what, food testing.
You know, like eating a double.
I say, and nothing's wrong with that. But I'm saying, I can see it, so that's why it doesn't frustrate me.
Yeah, and to me, I just feel like I find that when even with the collaborating, I think that I have a curse because there is something that God has blessed me with, that I could just smell a fake really bakery. I could smell somebody fake liking me. Yeah. I could feel it. I could just feel, because I'm very much more in touch with my energy now. I am in touch with other people's energy. Yeah. And I could just feel when it is like, I feel when somebody just allow them. Even if they smile with me and they're talking to me, and they might even like, try and be hanging out in a space, and I just like, I feel this person just.
You know what's worse? You know what's worse than bringing it to their attention?
Don't like me.
You know what's worse than bringing it to their attention?
What's that?
Allowing them to just do it. Because you know what happens? Yeah. They leave that space thinking to themselves, I wonder if he figured it out.
No, I allow it now, because I mean, as you say, I did reach the point where me trying to address you would just not gonna.
Doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
It's like, that's something that's a you problem, but I always just wondered to myself, I don't really have much to be jealous about. I mean, I literally just being me. You jealous of me, just be. And I think that is actually me answering my own question. That yes, they are jealous of you being you, because you could be you,
authentically be yourself,
and then people gonna clap. Strangers gonna clap for me. Yeah. And the States, I am loved. I am loved for my personality, how I am. Everybody, like people waving my flag, don't even know me.
So when it came to like the following, right? So when I first started, I had some people following me, and I would see other people come up and they would have all these followers on their Instagram, on their Facebook, and I'd be like, But why they have all these followers? Like, why they have all these people following them on their Instagram? Like, I don't understand what the value is, right? Like, what it is that they're doing. And I used to be constantly beating myself up.
Yeah.
Until I got to the point where I was like, you know what, man, listen, the people who will understand, they will pay attention to it, and those people matter. Focus on those people. So, like you said earlier, the 1 or 2 people that may be impacted, that's what I focus on.
Yeah.
And once I started doing that, it didn't matter. But the way how life is and the universe is, now we're at the point where we cross a certain amount of people following,
And just start to
and
grow.
it now starts to grow on its own. But that is because of consistency. That's
And
because
staying
we've
true to
been
the
consistent and being, because I'm true to myself. Because if this was not an issue for me, then I would, next month, we could do something different.
Yeah.
I could
And
throw
you
a party,
just-
maybe a boat ride. I could do that.
Or you say you can go and sing parang.
I'm gonna sing Pang. Yes, exactly. But I'm saying to say that a lot of it there comes from, once you're understanding who you are, the opinions and what these people do, some of the actions don't really matter unless it's disrespectful.
How would the Dayman Project state what a healthy male friendship or brotherhood would look like?
Community.
Community.
And I say community because in every aspect of life, community has always been what breeds success, because the community normally supports each other, and if you
Yes.
have a community, they support each other. And if you look at the other successful communities, again, we have to look at life from a broad perspective. Not because it's just the men's project, we look at the men only.
But that is where I was going to tell you.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So
Because
if you
I
look
do
at
have people
community,
who will show up for me, and it's actually women.
I mean, I feel as though
They have masculine energies, though.
They-
Those women who will come
but
and
we
show up
have
with
both.
masculine
We
energy.
have both.
Yeah.
Right?
I connect more with their masculine energy.
But,
You know?
but community now shows support, and real communities, like you said, tribe, environments, all those things show support. So you will find that person. I remember this guy who played football years ago, and in his community, he was the only footballer,
Yeah.
but he was good. Nobody used to bully him. Nobody used to do anything. The drug, all these people just leave him alone to play football, and he became a successful football player. And he went back to his same community to give back. So in my mind, what I'm looking at is that if I create a community of men and I start with the men, we will expand the community.
Yeah.
But we have to form a community for people to feel supported. And the thing with men, they don't feel supported. They feel competed against, compared against, and nobody feels like there's a sense of community.
I do see that some groups are doing it, because
Yes.
my cousin's husband, he has a group of fellas, because they would have gotten married about 2 years ago after being together for 20 years. But when I met his group, because I was in the wedding party on his end, although my cousin is female, I was still in the wedding party on his end, because obviously they were together for 20 years, so he is still like my cousin.
Yeah.
Come like 2 cousins getting married, it was very weird. You know, so, but the thing is, when I saw his group and how they are with each other, up to this day, they still do, well, life has been life, but they still do gift exchange on Christmas.
Yeah.
I had that group. I had the group that would do gift exchange. They do gift exchange on Christmas. They do stuff together, and those boys look out for each other. They are definitely a group of support.
But
for each
again,
other.
are they a majority
And
or
it's
minority?
Very minority, and I find it so weird that I say, these are the men who
So
are
it may
actually
sound
out there being
it may
celebrated.
sound far fetched, but my goal, and I may not be the one to complete this task. My goal is to continue to put out the information for people and to tell people it is okay to build a community of men. It's okay to build a community, and maybe make that, it may never be a majority, but maybe make it a bigger minority. Just because more men now would understand that true support is success.
Exactly.
That's it.
Is. And now to go into like the way forward while we wind down here, if you had to give one call to action for men listening right now, what it would be?
Call to action. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself.
Yes.
You are no
Me
good
too.
in any role that you decide to take if you're not good to yourself. You have to be good to yourself, and you have to take care of yourself. We focus so much on other people just as men, and it's a good thing and it's a bad thing that we do not take care of ourselves. And I said earlier, we live in an old narrative. We have to understand that we need to take care of ourselves.
And I think I need to start taking that advice.
Take the advice.
There are times where I rail on it. I on it, and I go to the gym and all those things. But I would say for the since this year started, me who was actually in the gym when last year ended all the time, And then the year started, and I just like was not. I just didn't go to the gym. Up to now, I ain't started.
Well,
yet.
but okay, so
You know,
so
but-
forget the gym. Forget the gym.
But the gym used to give me like a mental feel of goodness. Like,
Because the
when
gym
people,
is
like, look
activity.
great, it
Right,
was,
the
like,
gym is
it made
activity.
me
Forget the
feel
gym.
Something.
You're in Trinidad, you're in a Caribbean island. What's the one thing that we have a lot of? What's one thing
Drinks.
besides drinks? In terms of activity wise,
Partying.
we have
Like
hikes,
party.
we have trails, we have the beach.
I did reach out to some of my friends and say, next time you go on a hike, let me know.
Right.
Yeah.
So like you talked to me about that whole ATV,
ATV thing,
Okay.
yeah.
We have those things here. It's also something that I'm trying to address with the Ministry of Tourism. Let us promote more of what we have.
Exactly.
People leave here to go to South America to go visit a jungle when we have jungles here or we have forests here. Why are we doing that? Why are we not taking trails and doing hikes more often? Why are we not finding
it's not
time to protect?
popular. And
But it's not
even
just
me,
popular.
because you just
It's
asked me that question, I didn't come to my mind. at one time
party
to say,
and drinks, you
yeah,
said.
That's what people do.
Now, I'm not saying
That's why
not
I stay
to.
up so much
I'm,
now.
I'm not saying not to. But what I'm saying is that explore what we have here, because this is a place that we have all those things that people come visit to see, and we live right there. Normally it happens with people when you're in the environment, you don't really pay attention to those things. But at this point in time, for the men, I would say, like you, self-care is not just the gym. Self-care sometimes can be a walk. Some self-care can be an hour by yourself. Self-care could be you saying, today, I'm not going. I'm going to stay home and just relax. To your friends and family. You taking care of yourself. Because the biggest issue we're having with the conversations now is that they are so one-tracked. If I go to my group and I say, hey, listen, give me 3 things of what you all want to do in terms of activity for us to do. Well, we could go take a lime drink. No.
You see, that's very
We could go take a drink and smoke a cigar. No. We could, let's do a hike. Okay. You know why? Because that is also the time for yourself. Because I'll give you a good example from my ATV rides. When we go to ATV rides, and I'll say who it is, not Riders TT, because they're very, very collaborative with us as the project.
Yeah.
There's a part of the ride where when I take the guys on this ride, they just feel relaxed and free. There's no cell phone, there's no call from anybody, there's no expectation. They just ride in and they just feel free. And we always talk about this inner child. The inner child comes out.
Yeah.
And I've posted it a lot because I want people to understand how important that is for your man. Your man being your father, your man being your brother, your cousin, your partner, anybody,
son.
your man.
Yeah.
That is important. And you only see how important that is when you put them on that ride. It was it's the best thing I've seen so far. And the same ride that we had where I saw that happen for the first time, it poured. It rained.
Well, I mean, you was right. See, Sunday, you tell me you're right.
Yes, listen.
Like you are sticking, rain ain't stopping you.
Because I realized the importance of it, and I realized how exactly it is freeing. Because remember, if you are looking at it from any narrative that's you are supposed to do all these things, and there's an opportunity for you to just be free, that's like refilling your soul.
Honestly, these things, as much as we need it, it really did. I think it actually take away so much of us actually really connecting with each other.
Oh, that's also a choice.
I always have.
That's also a choice.
It's choice, but it's very hard.
It's hard.
When I'm managing in a restaurant, sometimes I go up to tables and be like, "You're having a good time," and they're like,
They're like on their phone?
I said, "But everybody on their phone."
Yeah.
I said, "Y'all speak to each other." No?
I went to Vegas one time and we went out to Cheesecake Factory. Some of these women might not like Cheesecake Factory. I don't know. Based on the poll, I love Cheesecake Factory. We went out to Cheesecake Factory to have dinner and we sat at the table and we just looked around and everybody was on their phone. And I was like,
each other for dinner.
So why did it even go? Why didn't you just do takeout? But anyhow, so it's also a choice. It's also you understanding how important certain things are and when to not do certain things. But I really think the more you explore outdoor stuff and the more you explore the islands itself, it's the more you realize how freeing that is. And that is like a good drug. Because when I first started doing that, and I brought some guys with me, if I only mention we're about to do it, the guys who you don't talk to for the whole week. One guy called me, and I was literally working out, and he called me and said, I didn't see my name on that list now.
Yeah.
I was like, well, you didn't confirm. He's like, I don't have to confirm. I will be there. I said, no, brother, you have to confirm, or else I can't have no space.
Exactly.
But it was just good to hear him so excited about something because he runs this big business, and the only time he gets to himself is the time that I have now made a priority for him.
Yeah. Because it comes to a point where every time I actually do something that's fun, and this is not from the ladies in my life, I don't know, it's just something in my mind, like I feel like I'm wasting time. And I shouldn't. And I was like, why?
I can give you a couple things you're wasting time on right now.
What's that?
I'm not saying I can give you other things that you. But are you going to ever waste time on yourself? You see, it's how you perceive that, though. It's how you look at it.
That's why I was like, why am I feeling like I wasting time? Because I just sitting down on the beach, or I decide to take a long drive up to the hills.
It is not your. I don't want to say it's your fault. So I'm not going to throw blame on you for thinking that way. But what I'm going to say is that that's how we've been conditioned to think.
Yeah, and I do like that. And that's something I actually have to work on. How do we as men start creating space that real and respectful for all of us? And when I say that, not just the loudest or most liked, but how do we start creating that space for, as you say, these groups and these tribes? Let's just say somebody who might not have access to the project. How can they do that for themselves within the lives that they live right now?
Find your tribe, and
the way would I find a tribe if I really not finding anything? Well, how do I find a tribe? Again, Trinidad.
I remember giving my son this advice. When my son was in school, I literally told my son, those friends that you have in school, those friends that do you consider to be friends, don't let those friends go. And I'll tell you why. We normally have these tribes in school, right? And after school, we somehow lose connection with these same friends that were good friends of ours. These friends have now come on to become business people and entrepreneurs and travelers, I don't know, whatever. But we lose in touch with them because now we feel as though our direction has to be different. But if you look at this success, and again, I love looking at examples. I don't want to just say things, I have to look at examples. You look at successful groups of people, it's a group of friends that were in a school together that started a business. It's a group of friends that kept in touch with each other and hired this friend who they know is a carpenter or who knows does construction. So they've kept their tribe. Men, for some reason, constantly let go of the tribe that they originally found with hopes to go out and create a new tribe, which doesn't really happen, because then now you get bogged down by everything else that life brings to you. So for me, the young men, I always let the young men know, the same way that you might be influenced by a bad group or environments that we always talk about, there are groups that are good. Stick with that group. That's the advice to myself.
I had a good group growing up, because like,
where are they?
My life took them away. So basically, we do stay in contact because we have a group called, I call it very, very, very important messages. So when it does come up, and you're like, oh my God, very, very important. But the thing is, it's not why I say I have no friends now, because I can't one have like 3 children, the next one, he's a real businessman, and you see what you just said there, he looks out for me, all of us in that space. Yeah. And he's one of the only genuine ones. He owns Rave. I don't know if you know Rave. Yeah. So he's one of the more genuine ones that once things working out for him, he wants everybody to come and be part of it. But in our circle, and I will say this, and I probably will get some flack for it, in our circle, when certain members of our team saw him reaching where he reached, and he always tries to all of us to like eat together. Yeah. They looked at it more of a, and this is why I say why we call it boys just get on like this. They look at it more of,
you think he better than us,
like he better than us. Yeah. And I was like, I never got that from him. I mean, I have times where he act like an ass because life and work is stressful. Yeah. But to say that he up to this day still is trying to get he would love. I know his dream would be all of us come in and eat off of the fruits of his labor that he
I had an idea years ago with my friends. I had a big group of us. We don't have that big group anymore.
My one was 15.
I had a literal football team. And I had a group there, and I remember sharing an idea with them. Well, about 2 or 3 of them, and I said, I would love for us to be so successful that we have a cul-de-sac with all our houses, a garage with different cars, that all you have to tell me is you using that car today. Like a big garage with like different cars.
You need to meet Chris because that's exactly his dream.
Well, you see, this was my idea, because in that group, that's how I looked at life. And I said, I want all of us to be successful. Whereas I didn't say, I'm going to bring you there. I said, I want all of us to be so successful that we have our own cul-de-sac, where we have a big garage, all our houses in the same block. Go in the car, you just say, hey, listen, G, I take in this car, or you could use a car, whatever, like you take a car, whatever, it doesn't matter what car. That's my dream. That was my dream. Now, after that, everybody went in a different direction, which is fine.
What happens in life.
But one of the things I had to learn was I had to be okay with that.
Yeah.
I had to be okay that my dream maybe didn't align with their dream.
And that is the thing.
And then you decide, once you understand that, you make room for people who have that dream to fall into place. Because then I met other people, right? And we have the cul-de-sac with the cars.
Yeah.
However, I do have a group of people that I really, really, really know that if I was to reach out to them, if I don't get them at that point in time, they would make time. And those are people that I've kept close because I now understand that they align with my dream. So you're asking in terms of how do you find it? We have to be okay with letting people go in order to bring new people on.
Yeah.
It's like business. It's
I
like,
saw that.
yeah,
I
you
see
have
that.
to do
I see that.
Because there are people out there.
Yeah.
And the reason why some of them don't align with us is because we're so busy protecting this other person and not willing to let them go.
Yeah.
That we're doing ourselves a disservice. Because that person may find somebody else that might change his mind or her mind.
Well, I like what you said too is that because the thing is, like with the same friend I was talking about, I am definitely going to be in business with him soon enough.
Yeah.
We kind of in business, right? One of our ventures it just didn't work out right now. There's just some technical difficulties. But aside from that, like he has a part. I had to show him my part because obviously, if it was up to him, he wanted to jump right in one time.
Yeah.
Right? And I can't jump right in one time because I tell him, I said, no, but this is my way. This is how This is how I follow in the rule. Because growing up, I literally now have my goal. I have my goal. I know how I want to achieve it, and I realize when I listen to myself and follow the road that I know makes more sense, not something that will make just him happy. Like, all right, your friend said, come on, let's go and jump on.
Yeah.
But if you're not there, you know that you have certain stuff that you still need to do. You need to get better. You need to meet more people, or you just have that itch in your ear. I need to be out there a little more, and then I'm gonna come back to you. A friend, a lifelong friend, which I believe I have, is about 3 of them. They will all understand. Because the thing is, I can sit down with any of them, the 3 of them, tomorrow, and I feel like I don't saw them. I see them last week. We connect straight like that because we grew up like brothers, right? And then that's why I say, well, I have no friends now because all of them doing this shit. They're doing this stuff, and they're going through different types of life. Like some are very successful, some are $2 to stick together because of where life have them right now. But it does not mean that we probably might not. You look how life goes. You might actually have to buy a community and really put houses together. And because how you're going to afford $40 million house that you want to get?
It's just alignment, right? And that's why I say
in time it will come.
We hold on to so many things, and we're like hoarders. To me, human beings are hoarders. We have so many things that we don't need.
Yeah,
so like, there was a point in time where I just decided minimalism was my thing. So I don't really buy much clothes. I don't do all the extra stuff. And I feel better because I don't have
much easier to travel all over.
But we do that with people as well. We do it with people as well. We know that some of these people are not good energy for us.
Exactly.
And we keep them around and we base it on different things. Well, I know this person, whatever. But then you know what? We kind of block ourselves from our blessings, right? So, but I think that's one thing. I think for men, finding a community does not mean it has to be a community that everybody approves or says, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. You would know what it is.
Where do you feel that you could just
comfortable
be you?
And supported? That's it. Where do you feel comfortable? Where do you feel supported? And this is why I say, when I focus on men, I focus on all men because everybody's going to find a different community that they feel supported in. And if it makes them better, then it makes everybody better.
So, what is next for the Dear Men project and how could people support the movement?
What's next and how can they support? How can they support? Continue to bring awareness to the issues that men face.
How do we get into it? Because how do we get into the Dear Men project?
I mean,
how do we become part of it?
So for most of that, it's just more or less follow on social media. Just follow the Dear Men project on Instagram. It's at the Dear Men project, and just sharing some of this stuff. Like I've never asked people to join up per se. I've always just asked people to be more aware.
Right.
Like the project is to raise the issue and to bring awareness. And if you see something and that could relate to you, I want them to bring that awareness to whoever they have. Because I always say that people live in different worlds. So right now we're in one bubble. When you leave here and you go, you're in another bubble with somebody else. I'm in the same bubble. So we all connected at some point. The awareness is just for people to understand that, you know what, that person that's going through this, we don't know exactly what they're going through. Let's try and see if we can at least help or support that person. So I've never looked at it as, let's just join this big community and let's have this big thing, like this big organization. I've just looked at it as the more a voice says, hey, there's an issue and here's a solution, it's the more it will impact people. And that's why I've never looked at it from a standpoint of I need the most clicks or the most likes on my page.
Yeah.
I don't. These conversations.
But I think that your followers are actually more genuine than people who have like about 30, 50 to 100,000 followers.
They're more
that they don't
genuine
even
because
connect
they're
with.
more organic.
People actually care about,
And
they follow you because it's like, I
Exactly.
like this shit.
But if I had stopped years ago,
yeah.
see, and then that's why
you probably will still get followers, but it'll be all
for
crap.
other things. When I first started with my shirt off.
Yeah.
I first started doing modeling, and my Facebook was plumbed out. People on there because they think, okay, the first time I wrote something, I got a message. I always tell this story. I had a picture, my avatar was me from a modeling show.
Right.
And I wrote something, and this lady messaged me from like Denmark or somewhere there, some weird place outside of my normal community.
Yeah.
And she said, I love the way that you write. I just wish that you were more self-confident.
Okay.
And I was like, what? And she was like, well, the fact that you're using somebody else's avatar, but you're writing all these good things. And I was like, that's me in the picture.
Exactly.
And that's my right.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that, okay, maybe it is a way to influence people by showcasing that, but also showcasing something else at the same time, because maybe that's how people adjust, or maybe that's how they see things.
Right.
So that's why I kept doing that, and I kept writing. And then it came to a point that I had to level up, so it was more consistency, it was more depth, it was more value. Same way I write. My first book was more pictures than writing.
Right.
My third book was more writing than pictures.
Okay.
Because I had to evolve.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's what that was. But that one shocked me, because I was like, I thought I was doing something good.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, why did you change your picture to your picture? I was like, well, this is me.
Exactly.
You know, but and again, because the perception was, if you look a certain type of way, you can't stand for a certain type of thing. And I had to change that perception of myself.
Excellent. And I think that you're doing excellent work. I really do hope that influencers like yourself really start to be celebrated more in our Caribbean space.
Influencers.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah, because you're not a content creator, you're an influencer. What the things that you do, I believe, when we men watch it, we could put a little more value on our masculinity, right? We could put a way forward to basically how to be a better man and not feel guilty about going and ride ATVs or spending time with our guys and being around that energy. And you don't have to be like go into a bar and sit down and get yourself in a stupid state and then drown your sorrows. You can actually change energy. The things that you're doing, the work that you're doing, that is the type of people I hope that those people are the people that I want to spread the word more about. This is what we should be putting value on. What you're doing is amazing work, and I'm glad that you come and talk to us today. This episode has to edit, so I know it's not coming out. And I really wish that we met earlier so it could come out in
Everything
but you know what? It comes out in its own time, and the message will speak for itself. I think, guys, you should go and follow him on Instagram. You'll see the tag. And we want to thank God for coming out and talk to us today, because he is busy. And I'm quite sure he have a 2 o'clock something. Yes, you see? But he did make the time for us. And thank you so much, brother.
I appreciate you.
You are an inspiration. And I really hope that people start looking up to more men like you rather than...
That's a heavy thing, but that's a thing. But yeah. I want to also say to you, I appreciate you being as transparent, because when I first saw the reason why, that's what made me more interested in terms of having the conversation.
Yeah.
Because I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of it needs to be a broader perspective
of what we add to this space.
And I appreciate what you do.
Thank you so much, my bro. So we'll see each other soon.
Yeah.
Yes. And that is it for Is Given Podcast.